And we're live. It looks like we're live, Bryn. What did it scare you?
Yeah, it did. I got a notification, but I closed my window at the same time, and I thought I did something weird. But we're good. We're good. Hello.
Yeah, we're just so excited here for Rant Café number 16, everyone. And it's gonna be one crazy ride. We have joining us today so far Bryn from Bryn's Fandoms and Cyanide Blizzard, also known as Tablecoon. And we also are waiting for Briggs. We're waiting for the Briggs guy. He's having his issues updating his computer or something. So hopefully he shows up. Otherwise, we will have no reason at all to say yayo during the stream.
What will we do?
And
if we can't yayo?
That would break with tradition, right? We've been doing yayo.
I don't even know what we'd do.
Even though Tony, the Black Critic guy, bailed on us this week, but that's okay because we're gonna have way more fun without him, guys.
It's gonna be a party.
And we're actually gonna be talking about this week. We're gonna be discussing anime versus the world, and what we mean by this is we're going to be discussing all the recent criticism that has been kind of directed towards anime as an industry and the manga industry from certain institutions, mostly outside of Japan, saying that there's certain things in anime and manga that should not be allowed, whether it's advocating, violence or whether it's advocating certain sexual practices that are considered inappropriate, including the recent BBC documentary that suggested that anime and manga actually promote pedophilia. And you might have seen the Anime Man make a video on this. It was a lot of talk. Actually, Crobat Gawk, or Gawk from our Discord server, alerted me to this first before Joey's videos dropped, so I gotta say a big shout out to Gawk for noticing this first and letting me know about this. And yeah, I'm gonna be relying on Cyanide as the fact checker for this because I feel like he is the most informed in terms of the anime community and the sort of anime industry and the controversies that have arisen over the years. So we're gonna be talking about those things today and getting your feedback as well. And it looks like Briggs is joining us, so
hello.
Oh my god, and his microphone works on the first try.
I know what?
It's only one technical difficulty per day.
Yeah,
my computer decided to do an update for me. But,
and he's wearing a Hunter x Hunter shirt, but we're still gonna say yayo.
Yep.
Tony, what have you done to us?
Yeah.
Yes, this used to be a respectable stream before Tony joined, but now it's more fun.
It's the best now.
The best. I want to say hi and welcome to everyone down in the chat. I already saw you and spoke to you a bit before the stream started. We'll be talking to you again. But I want to turn it now to Mr. Cyanide Blizzard. Like I said, I think he's going to be our fact guy on this one. So yeah, give me your thoughts, bro. And maybe if you want to mention a few of the biggest issues you feel over the years have arisen over anime that you want to talk about during this stream.
So it's really interesting with the BBC and the whole issue on anime. There was something about a few months or maybe closer to half a year ago where there was a blip about anime again. It came up, was talked about for probably maybe like a week or two, and then it subsided. And it's flared up again. And it's really funny because it reminds me of way back in, I want to say about 2009, 2010. CNN was talking about a video game, let's see, I think it was like an erotic video game released by the company Illusionsoft called Raplay, which was getting massive controversy in the West about it. And then once CNN reported on it, then it was sort of like this snowball effect where everyone was covering it because given by the game's name, this is kind of a correlation there. So the thing that was really interesting about it was that there was a spokesman that talked about it from Illusionsoft, and to quote them, "We are simply bewildered by the move. We make the games for the domestic market and abide by laws here. We cannot possibly comment on the campaign because we don't sell them overseas." And that's the thing, is that it's for a market that's in Japan, and these games were being covered then by someone outside of Japan while they're conforming within laws and within prospects, yet there was this huge movement to, have, action being taken against the game. And I feel like it's a very similar case, except, in this case, it's even more absurd because, there are some very questionable material out there. If anyone's ever spent any amount of time Googling anything anime related or stumbled into the whole doujinshi scene,
No one here has done that.
Imaginations tend to run a little wild with those. And the thing is, to each their own, so long as it's not, if it's uncomfortable for me, I just avoid it. But that's just it. So long as they're abiding by Japanese law and they're not breaking any law or standard there, I don't necessarily see the problem with it. I think a lot of these claims are ludicrous, to be polite, and to be very frank. I think it's shit. It feels like it's another means to lash out, especially since we do live in a time where, as mentioned in several other Rant Cafes, we live in a day and age where now we're looking at anime as being far deeper than just those Japanese cartoons with a bunch of girls that are well endowed and you can see their panties, and hey, they do pornography as well. It's no different than film industry. Like, adult films is a massive business. It's a huge business that makes a ton of money. Nobody really complains about that terribly much. So why can't it exist in an animated format? They have varieties of genres. So
I'll actually interject at this point, because if anything, worrying about fictional non-existent characters being objectified is even more ridiculous than worrying about, like actual pornography or something like that.
Absolutely.
And that is the crazy thing about this. Like, okay, there's different things, right? So the whole pedophilia aspect, I think, is an actual serious issue. But we've had, totally ludicrous, ridiculous things happen with the Western media going after anime for, showing ecchi or, showing cleavage, showing things like that. Even when it's not in a case of being underage, they just do it because they're like, oh, this is objectifying women. And what's happened is sometimes certain games or certain anime don't get exported outside of Japan because they are worried about the different laws, the restrictive laws in other countries, where basically social justice warriors complaining. And that is so ludicrous to me. It's like there's real women in the world, if you're a feminist or whatever, facing real issues, and you're worried about drawn cartoons, fictional characters being, objectified. Like that just, to me, is completely ludicrous. I don't know what you guys think. Like, obviously there's several different issues that we're going to be discussing here, but on that one, and I'll take it over to you, Bryn, actually, for no particular reason.
Just because I'm a girl power, right? I need to defend the honor of these fictional women, apparently.
Yes, please do.
But
it's your duty.
It is my duty. But seriously, like you're saying, we're into the world of fiction, whereas there's real life categories that this is happening, and yet there's not as big of like a panic about it as there is because these are animated and like, oh my goodness, do you see how horrible this is? But any media and any like entertainment form is always going to have a dark side. There's always going to be that sexual kind of deviant side of any type of media that you watch. And I think it's kind of highlighted in anime because it's like, that's what you see, all the boobs, all the hentai, look at all this horrible things that you're portraying women in this way. But we're into this weird place where it's like, these are fictional characters, like they're not real people. And there are no necessarily laws against like the age of consent. Like real life, there definitely is like an age of consent, like, 18 up, but we're into this world of fiction where none of this really exists. And so it can be kind of, how do I say it? Like played on, used a little bit more because no one's gonna they don't need protection. They're just like, this is a fictional story that's going on. So it doesn't make sense to me that people make such a big fuss about it, is because they're high school girls where you have like ecchi in high school. And like, clearly those people are not over age and all this other stuff. And then you got like pedophilia, which of course is not good. And we, I think we can all agree that that's no good, but it's just this weird thing that is going to have that dark side to it. And of course, anime does have that side to it. So I don't know why people make such a big fuss about it.
Yeah, and it's
have, like
funny.
pornography and stuff, right? Like, anyways.
Yeah, and it's like, where does that end now? Because it's fiction. So can you not have sexual scenes in books either? Because it's like it's objectifying, right? So yeah, it's definitely interesting. And just on this topic, I just want to say the Devil the Rebel made a donation so that he can put up in super chat, which is a thing where if you make a donation, your post becomes more visible. He made a donation just so that he could say "etchy equals life." So there you go.
Respect.
You've made your point.
Yeah.
You've made your point, Devil the Rebel, and I appreciate your donation. This is his second donation on our live stream, so yeah, thank you, bro. It means a lot, and it's going all to support our etchy addiction. So, you know, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate it. Briggs, what do you think? And yeah, I guess see a lot of people in the chat. The usual suspects: Ladiga, Christian, aka Floor, Deep Voice, Helvian, Elf, Anbu. Macalnot is in the chat, but not on the stream. Screw you, Macalnot. You screwed us.
Rude.
We are Johan, Zachman, Rex. I saw 2 in there. 2. We got Josh. Yeah, lots of peeps. But yeah, Briggs, to you, man. What do you think? Do you like animated breasts?
Yes.
Straight to the point.
You pervert!
You're terrible.
I like how you guys have been really talking about the media, and I think the major problem with it's that people have a bad representation of what anime is. It's really just 2 extents always, because media always projects things in the most extreme way, whether it be cultures of other countries or anime, and they always take the ecchi pedophilia route, which I'm sure there is to some extent, and then there's also people's expectations of anime is that it's for kids. So you get these 2 different extents on 2 different sides, but there's so much in between that people don't understand, and it's because media doesn't show it off. They only show things that will get clicks, and then on the other extent, people are only in the West, stuff like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z is what they're known about, what they know about, right? But in reality, there's so much in between that they just don't understand. And I actually wanted to pose a question to you guys. What are your thoughts about because you're saying objectifying women, but what about? Sorry, one second. What about people saying that women in anime have unrealistic body types? That's something that's always kind of gotten under my nerves a little bit. I understand it in video games, in anime, there's going to be unrealistic body types, but at the end of the day, it's fictional. And I think what would matter more is Hollywood's depicting it. These are fictional characters that are meant to be unrealistic. And to be fair, when I see Goku, he's got muscles that don't even exist.
Yeah.
But when I see him, it motivates
They're just
me
inventing
to work
them.
out. Right? I don't see it as oh, that's unrealistic. Oh, I'm demotivated and depressed now. It motivates me. Anime has been a major motivator for me my entire life.
No, yeah, I think you're definitely make a really good point. And if you look at, for example, even pornography, live action, I guess you would say pornography. Not most women don't look porn stars. They don't have all these cosmetic like that. That's a fantasy too. That's not real. Where do you draw the line? It's crazy. And like I said, having men and looking at ecchi scenes in anime, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with them fantasizing about the opposite sex, which attracts them? It's almost like we should be ashamed now of that, but meanwhile, let's all vote for Yuri on Ice for every award, right? A little bit hypocrisy there, social justice warriors, huh?
Well,
To
no,
you, Cyanide.
it's a really good point there. So a few years back, Kodomo no Jikan, it's a story about this gentleman, this 23-year-old gentleman who becomes a teacher of this classroom of 3rd graders, and one of the 3rd graders develops a crush on him, and they sort of kind of play out a potential, she's trying to get him. And I mean, clearly we can establish from the context right there, that's kind of pushing the boundary a little bit. And it was a case where the manga was picked up by 7 Seas, and then they had dropped it after there was a bit of a backlash. There was never really a determined reason as to why it was dropped. It sort of correlated between the 2. But this was a case where then it went on to get a Kickstarter. Digital Manga wanted to release it. They published a Kickstarter it got close to 200,000 in US in terms of being backed, and it of course was successfully funded. And it just kind of goes to show that, I mean, there's clearly a demand for a product. It was there for desire for it, so it's still going to come out. And the interesting aspect is, yet again, you have the creator of it talking about it, going, you know, I've heard about the issues from one of the specific volumes, and it made me realize the differences in the culture between the countries. And that's a really big thing that I kind of was touching upon before too, is, you know, cultural differences. There's such a huge different viewpoint in terms of how content is going to be viewed from someone that lives in the Middle East to someone who's European. I mean, even in terms of Canada and the United States, there's going to be different viewpoints as well. I mean, that's just it. We're influenced by our surroundings, by our parents, by our country. It's all these factors have differences in how our viewpoints are developed. You know, and more importantly, to even expand upon a little bit of what Briggs was talking about and what Animac was talking about Kodomo no Jikan, this manga editor, Torrance Smith, spoke up actually saying, well, no one seemed to have a problem with Negama, in which case a young man teaches a group of high school girls, and they kind of develop, and there's kind of romantic scenarios that play out there. So, you know, where does the line get drawn? Clearly, you know, in a reverse gender scenario, we're fine with it, but yet when it's vice versa, you know, where do we begin to draw the line if we're going to start drawing the line? I think that also becomes another really interesting question.
Yeah, I liked what you said about what's it called? Like culture differences, because obviously Japanese culture is very different than Western culture. For example, like things that are cute and like, I'm speaking more like for women, like women appear to be cute. So you want to look adorable and younger. You have like 20-something-year-olds trying to look like they're 16 because that's what's like attractive. But then that also kind of transfers over to anime. You have all these anime girls that like they're meant to look younger, even though they're like, you know, we've all seen it. There's like a 30-year-old that looks like a 10-year-old or something ridiculous. But that's just kind of what
I've seen that exact one, Bryn.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and so it's so weird. There's such cultural differences that we have to like take that into account. Like other countries are going to view that as like wrong or bad or weird or like so indifferent. Like how could you like look at, I'm going to use girls, another example, girls like that. But it's like that's just what's attractive, like being young and cute and like little, I guess I should say. So rant done.
Yeah, and there is also differences too in terms of like not even just cultural, but even like in terms of beauty and things like that. Like if you look at, you know, certain countries in Asia, the average height is much lower than certain countries in Europe, right? So what to us here is like way too short to be an adult girl is not necessarily the case in another country either. But to me personally, though, I am conflicted on the whole accusations of pedophilia issue, because on the one hand, I personally don't understand at all or relate to the whole lolly stuff, and I don't think there should be any sexualization of underage girls. I don't like it. I don't want to see it. I avoid it, and I don't, you know, I don't think it should be promoted. I don't know if I would go as far as to ban it, but personally, I don't like it, even if it's fictional. However, the thing is, again, where does that we draw the line? Because it's like what the article was trying to say, or the kind of documentary, is essentially the same argument as you hear so many times with video games, that video games that are violent promote actual real life violence. So then where does it stop? So you say, oh, some 30-year-old guy, 35-year-old guy watching an anime about, a lot of anime about high school life means that he's going to want to get a high school girlfriend. Like it's going to motivate him to do that. Like, why does that have to mean that at all? It doesn't. It's nonsense. So it seems like where do we end? Where does it end? Like, where do we draw the line and say we should not have, you know, we should not portray certain things at all because it's going to encourage people to do it? Cyanide.
Well, it's so funny because I remember early 90s. If you watch a television show, like I remember, I don't remember what it was. I was channel surfing a couple of years back. Blossom was on TV. Now I'm really dating myself here. Blossom was on TV, and they had this guy on there who played video games. And he was a really nerdy guy. He had Coke bottle glasses, and he spoke really funny. And it's just like that was the association. Like you were considered to be very uncool. Games were not cool for the longest time. And when around the mid 90s, when games started to blow up, that's when things became a lot bigger, and it was cool to play video games. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like the more you understand it, the better you understand it, the more you're exposed to it, the more you look at it and go, well, okay, this is really interesting. You have a better insight of it. And I think that's where we're slowly starting to get to now. It's kind of weird, though, that the BBC is talking about anime now when it's, the real big anime. There's been several big anime booms, and one of the probably biggest ones was during the late 90s, early 2000s with the advent of Toonami, Dragon Ball becoming huge. Like, it's to a point where you got kids like my mom coming home telling me that there's kids in her class doing the Kamehameha and whatnot. It's like, okay, yeah, clearly there's something that's creating sort of a beyond just simply a cultural standpoint. It's becoming almost iconic. And it's kind of weird for it to be targeted now, and especially over things like Girls und Panzer, which is just basically about moe girls with tanks. It's slice of life. It's got a fun audience. They're good people. I've talked to a few people who are fans of it. I'm not a fan of it, but I get it. And it's a weird thing to target and to crusade over, but I don't know if it's a bit of sensationalizing and over exaggerating, but at the same time, I agree with Animac. Like, I wouldn't necessarily ban underage content, but I mean, to me, of course, obviously a line is drawn. Clearly, if people are able to do that in a fictional sense, even from a story creative perspective, I mean, by all means, more power to you. But yeah, I guess that's just it, is, how, I guess, then do we go about trying to better represent or better inform other individuals? Because of course it's going to matter whether or not they're going to listen, but I mean, how do we go about doing it? Do we take more of an academic route like someone such as Pause and Select, where we break things down from a very academic point, where there's actual research on the material, approaching it from a very sensible perspective and analysis? Do we approach it in, I guess, the Digibro-esque approach, where where we sit down and we have a really lengthy discussion about these things, kind of how they work and why they work? I think that's kind of the big interesting point for me.
So the way we approach it is the Rant Café approach, where we just rant about it and get very upset and freak out, and that's the best approach. And we don't do any research. We just go with the gut, because the gut knows. Yeah, so I think there is definitely cultural issues. Like I said, for me, certain things I'm not interested in at all, and not even just like lolly stuff, but that's definitely not something that I'm interested in. But also, there's other stuff like, let's say Tentacles, the well-known one. Like, some people, I don't get that. I don't get the appeal. Some people do.
NTR is pretty big. And,
oh yeah, NTR is insane. Like, that's like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is the deal with that? Like, what is wrong with people? But that's because I'm an alpha male, and that's how I see the world. But yeah, exactly. So it should be. I don't like this. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's turning men into wusses, let's say, because they watch that NTR stuff and then they do it in real life. So should I now ban them from producing that because I don't want men to become wusses? Do I have that right?
Can we define NTR? Like, what is NTR?
That's asking, so you got to explain it.
It's basically like you have a cookie. And you like this cookie, and then someone else takes the cookie and eats it right in front of you.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, it can be portrayed to a very extreme extent. Generally is associated with some sort of mind rape or mind fuckery. Yeah.
You can just go Google it. Don't be scarred too much, but just go ahead.
It's like usually it's a dude that like gets with another dude's girl right behind his back, and the other dude's a stupid idiot and doesn't get it, and then you just feel bad for the fucking dude. You're like, what is going on? Anyways,
What is?
so I've heard. But the thing is that there's a lot of cultural stuff. Like, for example, moe is a cultural thing. Like, it's cute girls being cute, being kawaii. It's almost like an ASMR, right? Like, it's trying to trigger a certain response of like cuteness, kind of like a puppy would, or like a, you know, and
good definition.
That's, yeah, like, it's like, that's the point. It's not necessarily sexual. And so, while again, it might not be your thing, you might be like, who the hell cares? Like, that anime snob likes to talk about how moe is garbage, which is completely his right to have that opinion. But that doesn't mean that then, because you don't like this, that it's necessarily sexual or necessarily something that shouldn't be allowed. And yeah, I haven't seen Girls with Panzer. I know they have a manga and an anime. I haven't seen it. It looks hilarious, like, from just like the concept, but and the title. But yeah, I haven't seen it. I don't know. But from what I understand, there is no like sexual content there.
No. I mean, if there's any sexual content, it comes from either doujinshi or fan-based stuff. So, I mean, of course, you know, then again, there's also where you'll get really weird comments on the internet where, you know, oh, I'd like to have some of that. Like, oh, no. Of course, the most recent example is Kana from Kobayashi-san, no Maid Dragon, who is this cute little girl dragon, and you know, of course, then you get pictures of people posting with their mouth wide open, being like, "Oh, that's what I'm talking about." It's like, no, it's. But then again, I mean, it's the internet. You don't know who's doing that just to like make people cringe or freak them out.
Oh yeah, there's trolls everywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. Breaks perfect.
And I just want to say that Tony uploaded a video during Rant Café, so he's trying to fuck us over and compete with us, guys. So I want you all to remember that Tony tried to take away the Rant Café audience by uploading a new clickbaity video at the same time. Remember that, guys, for next time he's back.
Cyanide, there's trolls everywhere. Someone commented on my video like within the last couple of days, not my proudest fap. I was dying. I'm talking about facts, and you're like, not my proudest fact. Okay.
Facts about a pig. Facts about a pig.
Right.
Let's open up the chat here.
Yeah, we've all been looking at it, Briggs.
Yeah, I'm gonna open it up, guy. I don't know.
Oh, mass dislike Tony's video now. Take that, Tony.
Yeah. Take that.
Briggs is known for like having streams on his channel where he doesn't check the chat, and then people are like upset with.
Ever. People are so cheap at me. My last stream was okay. It took me a while to set it up. I set it up so I could see it because I stay pretty far away from my computer, and then I don't like looking down at my phone. But I set it up in a good way. Not too many complaints.
See, there you go. Boom. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
I set it up on a side monitor and zoomed in. It was blessed.
Oh, see, there you go. There you go. That's perfect.
By the way, Devil the Rebel says, I thought everyone faps while watching Rant Cafe. So something to think about.
Well, I do.
Something to do.
I'm sitting here right now naked doing Rant Cafe as per normal, so.
Yeah, but I assume like, okay, I'm just not.
Yeah, that's right.
What?
Well, yeah, Cyanide Blizzard does stream naked, which is why he doesn't show his face. It is a thing that he does. It is a nervous tick, and we all support him and love him.
We'll support you no matter what.
And he doesn't sit on a chair, he sits on a table.
It's all truth. Heard it here, Rant Cafe.
Dropping these truth bombs, can't even. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, the thing is, out of all the things to targeting cute moe slice of life shows is just, it's really peculiar because that's just it. You know, cute has been a fad for a brief period of time now, and we're not seeing anything really new. In fact, we're actually going to start to see a little bit of a shift out of it. We're still seeing it. We're still going to see it for a while, but things are starting to deviate a little more. And I don't know, like it's a really weird subject to focus on, especially when there's far worse materials to focus on. or worse shows to focus on. I mean, that's just it, you know. Shin My Mao no Testament came out not that long ago, and I mean, yeah, there's what is there, frontal nudity in that, or you know, High School DxD, which has frontal nudity as well. You know, if we want to focus on a show where technically we're sexualizing minors, it's, hey, why don't we focus on something like that? But instead, you know, no cute moe shows. It's like, what's wrong with you? You have no heart. You're a terrible person. I don't know. I've tried understanding the mentality, but I can kind of get where they're coming from. But
sorry, son, I fucking Briggs, what he wrote in the chat.
I missed this.
But I agree with you, Cyanide. Like even like ecchi okay, but like there's hentai, straight hentai with like probably underage like people or people that look underage. Tackle that instead of cute girls wanting to do cute things, moe shit, right? Like there's so much better stuff to target in the industry and in other industries as well, other than moe or even ecchi.
Yeah, it'd be like they showed a picture of Nami and they're like, oh, clearly can't stand this sick filth. You're like, wait, what? Why? No.
But yeah, Tony, the reason people are calling you a traitor is because instead of being here with us on Rant Café, you decided to upload a video at the same time as Rant Café, trying to compete with us for the viewers, for the ratings, bro. That's why they're calling you a traitor. But no, yeah, like I don't really watch all like hardcore moe shows. Like to me, it's like I get having like a moe character, like in Gurren Lagann having Nia, or like, you know, having Taiga in Toradora. But like I don't want every character to be moe, just being moe overload, you know. I don't know, but that's just me, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with the whole cute like movement and being cute. Like, you know, you see cute characters everywhere, and like any anime, you're gonna have some characters that's their thing, you know, that's their character, that they're just the cute one or the little ones. I don't think that's wrong at all. It's just when we get into that side where they start to become sexualized. But like you said, we don't know if they're trolls or not, or whether they're like actually people out there that are doing that. So you can't distinguish the two necessarily on the internet, or like, so it's just, there's that dark side that we don't want to get into. But I agree, this whole BBC thing is just kind of silly. Like it's been around forever, so I don't know why it's such a big thing now, or like it's such a big problem now, even though it's been around. Like,
well,
forever.
it's not. Right? That's the thing. It's not a problem, but they're looking for problems because of clickbait, because they want clicks, right? So when they say anime promotes pedophilia, people are gonna be like, what? I'm gonna click this BBC article, and then they're gonna show you their ads, because I have a BBC app on my phone, and when you go on to read it, you have to click off a bunch of ads that show up, and they're making money off that. So that's why they're doing it. Just like with the PewDiePie stuff. PewDiePie's a Nazi, everyone. And then all the J.K. Rowlings in the world, or Rowlings or whatever her fucking name is, decide to like read a title and say, oh yes, that has to be true, and I'm gonna double down and triple down on this. Like, oh my god, like this is what we're dealing with. And then people are surprised that non-politicians like Trump, who just come in and say, fuck all the other guys, fuck political correctness, vote for me, to stick it to them. They're like, well, I don't like this guy, but I'm going to vote for him because I'm sick of these other guys. Like, that's what happens. That's what happens. Like, people are like, instead of worrying about jobs and things like that, like actually supporting people, you're worried about safe spaces and microaggressions and PewDiePie being a Nazi. Like, that's what you think our priorities are? I'm going to vote for anyone but you. And like, that's just, like, I know I went political with it, but I feel like that explains a lot in the current situation that we are in politically.
Yeah, it's a really interesting environment, and it's a really interesting time. You know, things have changed a lot in just the past decade alone. Things are always constantly changing. You know, that's sort of the interesting aspects to observe about life itself, and you know that's what really makes this scenario interesting. Because as someone who, you know, when I first got in the anime, I will admit, when I first got into it, it's a bit of a trip and it's a bit of adjustment getting used to certain things. You're going to raise a few eyebrows. You're going to go, what? But I mean, after a while, it's kind of like, you know, it's like it comes with the territory. Well, I'm not surprised by this. So, you know, that's why you can understand from an outsider perspective, looking in, how it can be perceived as weird or even childish. It's just cartoons. So, you know, since it's animated, therefore it falls under cartoons. But I mean, yeah, that's just it. It's a desire. You need to be able to expand and not just sensationalize everything, which is what so much of what happens today. I mean, we often look no further than the Hulk Hogan Gawker lawsuit to look at just, you know, sensationalized media does not do anyone any benefits and could result in a very negative reaction. And I guess, I don't know. And then that's just it too, you know, where it's especially interesting to watch like a serious news show and then watch them talk about dank memes. I literally say dank memes. Just like, is this real life? Am I alive right now? Is this actually happening?
I watched
art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life.
I watched a bunch of segments on CNN. Them talking about Pepe being a symbol of Nazis.
Yeah, white supremacist symbol. Oh my gosh.
And just like serious, straight up saying, and people are like, listen, dude, it's a meme. Like the one guy saying to the other, like, it's a meme, it's just people are joking around, it's the internet, people troll. It's like, no. Even though it might not have started out, because the guy was saying like how Pepe started out and the whole origins, which has nothing to do with racism. It's like, even though it started out that way, now it's come to represent racism and white supremacy. So now we have to reject it.
I tweeted something out with Pepe last week. I guess.
I mean, I'm gonna shun you now. How dare you?
I didn't know you supported Hydra.
Rant Café confirmed for Hail Hydra.
Yep.
Hail Hydra, yes, we are. We support Red Skull.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, it's a really interesting time because it's gotten to a point where just that aspect of the internet, like that was always sort of my fear with something like Twitter. It's like, why is anybody going to care about what I think or what I'm doing? And if I want to know, I'll ask someone. But then you get a situation now where you get people fired from things, or in a case of someone like Phil Fish, where they just become so outspoken. And there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but it's going to have a repercussion. Everything has a reaction to where it ends up negatively impacting someone's life. And it's just, in the case of memes now, it's to a point where they catch so much fire to where, you know, Trump is going to see that. He probably thinks it's hilarious, so he's going to retweet it. He's running for president, so, you know, all these news outlets are seeing it. They're like, what does this mean? It's associated with Donald Trump, therefore it's got to be associated with this person, the other person. Therefore, Pepe equals white supremacy. It is a Nazi meme.
That is the day that traditional media died.
Yep, right then. Yeah.
And it's true. PewDiePie is right. They're afraid of how irrelevant they're becoming. They're afraid of how, you know, online movements like anime communities, like YouTubers are becoming much more relevant. So they're trying to basically piss off the, you know, people who are behind the times, who don't use social media, who don't understand. They're like, oh, this is a meme, but you don't know what that is. So I'm going to tell you that, guess what? It's racist. And people are like, oh man, these damn kids today with their internet racism, aka J.K. Rowling.
Internet racism.
Yeah, these internet kids with their, like, who honestly thinks like PewDiePie is leading some kind of white supremacist movement? Like, why? Like, what?
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, I don't know if you guys got these in Canada, but there'd be these fake newspapers. Like, it's an actual newspaper that's actually printed, but it's a fake. It's got these fake articles that are over exaggerations, like Elvis spotted eating with aliens. It's so over the top. It's so absurd, and it means it's done as a joke. It's satire, and that's sort of where I almost feel like it's gone. It's gone to sort of this gossip, sensational tabloid stuff, and now it's gone even beyond that to where it's just closing in on basically becoming fake news. And I mean, I don't know. It's like, Soul mentioned in the shout box, traditional media isn't the problem, false media is. I mean, I would agree with that, because it's about how it's handled. You know, it's like with anything in life, you have to adapt with the times. You know, obviously newspapers and so forth significantly died down. I mean, paper media, I don't think will completely disappear, not anytime soon, but it's just, there is going to be a transition at some point. And of course, obviously, with the advent of things like YouTube and so forth, online is clearly more the way to go, especially since I could run a blog that could be far more successful than writing for some newspaper. And, you know, they even explore aspects of that in the US adaptation of House of Cards, where, you know, being a blog or something like that can give you even more freedom in some cases. And I think it definitely does show, you know, this aspect of being scared. In fact, I'm trying to remember, I wish I had this link, because there was a news article where somebody basically wrote that they were quitting in the news article, and because they were writing about something they absolutely hated, and so it was just tearing them apart. I don't know if it was real or not, but it was hysterical, and it was a pretty interesting statement on current media.
Yeah, and it's like Anbu said in the chat that traditional media is outdated, and in many ways, yeah, it is. It's not like the people who are seeking to get their medias are doing it. Many people are doing it who are tech savvy on the internet. So a lot of people who are just still watching traditional media are people who are not tech savvy, who have no interest in the internet. So they're not up to date with the memes and things like that. They don't know what it means. So then it's easy to mislead them by appealing to something everyone knows, like Nazis or, you know, white supremacy, and saying, well, this green frog represents that now. And it's so popular, and your kids are using this frog too. And their grandkids, and they're like, oh my God, my kids are Nazis. Like, you know, what's kind of the kind of clickbait nonsense that they're trying to pull a wool over the eyes of these people for clickbait. And it's ridiculous because, yeah, like anime is one example of that. Again, you know, these crazy Japanese, what are they doing? What are they doing? Shame on them. Here in the West, we're clearly so much better. But then it's like, and yeah, like the whole Trump thing, like Trump, basically they were saying that fake news helped Trump win with these like fake things on Facebook and stuff. And he turns around on them. It's like, you guys are fake news. Look at all the fake stories you're running. And then they continue to run more fake stories, and he creates that narrative. Like he created the narrative about lying Ted or crooked Hillary, right? Like he makes people stick. He made fake news stick to traditional media because they keep buying into it, and they keep feeding into what he's selling, right? So they're buying what he's selling. So like they think they're criticizing him, and in reality they're just screwing themselves over. And they've done that throughout the campaign, and that's why Trump was able to win, because people were like, I'm sick of these media being so condescending, clearly lying, clearly being dishonest, right? So that's like, again, whether you support him or not, I don't think he won because most people like him. I don't think he won because I don't even think the people that voted for him like him necessarily, but they were just like, the people that are against him are so stupid that it's like, might as well try something new.
And the thing is with traditional media is that it's a lot slower, right? The digital media are like blogs or like people, like even just like internet posts, it's instant. Like you can just put out something, and a lot of times they just put out whatever's going to get the views. Like we said, it's like, oh, we got to just get something out because we just heard it right now and we need to get the information out there. But a lot of time it might be false because they're just rushing to get the information out, as opposed to like, okay, what actually happened? Let's figure this out. And then things get lost in translation. And then, like you said, those people who watch traditional media or like things like that, they don't necessarily get it the way that we do. Like it's just the way that they get the media is a problem as well. And it's a generation thing, I think, mostly. Like you said, there's an older generation and a younger generation. It's always going to be that way, but eventually there will be that transition that is going to happen.
Yeah. And I've seen actually now there's like a backlash against the backlash. So for example, there was like I've watched this YouTube video. There was like a protest outside a Trump hotel being opened in Vancouver. So like the left-wing anti-Trump people came out and they were like, you know, Trump this, Trump that, Trump's a Nazi. And then there was like a counter protest of a bunch of people with like signs with Pepe and like Pepe flags saying, "Free Kyrgyzstan, free the people of Kyrgyzstan." But they were as into it as the other protesters. Like they were yelling like Kyrgyzstan, support the people of Kyrgyzstan. Like they were so into it. They were like role playing. It was nuts. It's like the real life has become a meme.
That's a really good point, actually. No, that's so true, because that's just it. It's gotten to a point where the memes are no longer dreams. The memes are real. No, I mean, that's just it, is we see so much before to where, you know, we'd see enough fake pictures before where someone would do something afterwards saying like, oh man, you know, somebody, you know, sent me a pizza like this, and then, yeah, you know, like anime sucks or something. It's clearly they had something that they did themselves, but now it's to a point where you actually are seeing people do these things or taking it to that step further from where it goes from joke to reality. And I mean, in a sense, I think it's fine as well to a degree. It could be used for protesting too, even like to just show how ridiculous these things are. Like for something like that, I think it's great. It's just, you know, memeing is a great way to kind of try to, I guess, reel back in the scope or the scale of where we're at right now and how ridiculous it is. But like with, I think, anime, that's really important, is, you know, how we go about handling the situation, how we go about handling the way that the BBC is presenting it. Like, you know, what can we do to really counter that in turn? Where is it going to go from here? So I think that's definitely something worth thinking about, to figure out how we want to do that. What are you going to get as our symbol? Who's going to be our symbol of justice going forward to combat BBC?
Yeah, and it's interesting because, yeah, like you said, people are using memes now to kind of reel the media back into the real world, which is ironic, right? Because
it is.
Because the media keeps freaking out over the stupidest shit. Because why? Because there's certain people who are perpetually outraged, you know, social justice warriors, however you want to call them. Their identity is tied to being outraged, right? So it's like their identity is tied to something out there oppressing them constantly. So they're always looking for reasons to be mad and say, look, this affirms my bias. And you can be a right wing or left wing, it doesn't matter. Like, you have a certain bias and you're very, you know, opinionated and you don't want to hear anyone else out. And then you see something confirming that bias, and it could be fake news. It could be, you know, completely unresearched. You don't care. You share it. You like it. You send it to your friends. And that's what's happening. So you have, you know, the BBC trying to create outrage in order to get these clicks, in order to make this money. Now, it's sad that it's come to the fact where the BBC or the Wall Street Journal, that used to be legitimate media outlets, are doing this. But let's face it, like, there's been media outlets like Gawker, as you mentioned, that have been doing this forever. They've been doing this for a long time, just sensationalizing, you know, the Inquirer, right? Those media, just to make you buy, to make you click. And it's just now that has become mainstream. But of course, people are not going to accept this, so they're going to fight back, and this media is going to become even more irrelevant.
Juan Velasco asked if this is the anime snob roast. I don't know if he was just like asking because if that, in that case, no, or if that was like a witty little comment, like, because we're talking about media and taking things out of context, and snob is kind of known for taking stuff out of context.
I think you're overthinking that, Briggs. No, the roast is next week at this time, so 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, that's the Anime Snob roast, and you will see Briggs and Cyanide returning for that, the Anime Snob book roast. So that's going to be fun. Definitely tune in for that, guys. I'm letting you all know I was going to mention that anyway. But if that was that kind of social commentary, Briggs, then that guy's a genius. But I just assume he didn't know.
It
but
just
if he was doing
how
that,
like someone literally said like taking something out of context, and then I see that comment, I'm like, is this guy a genius?
Oh.
that would be like multi-layered shit, man. That would be Quan, good work, bro. But yeah, next week is the Anime Snob book roast, so tune in for that. And be sure to tune into our Discord server where we are chatting all the time if you haven't already. And by the way, someone check if the people in Discord are in voice chat and shit and not watching Rant Café, and tell them that I know. Tell them that I know what they're doing.
He sees all.
I have spies everywhere. My biggest spy that you would never suspect is a spy is actually Crobat Gawk. Because people would never suspect that he would be my spy.
We've got a lot of people in the general chat. Oh,
Wow, you're checking?
Yeah,
indeed, and including a certain Lord Chancellor in Margrave.
I see. Well, tell them that they've been noticed by Senpai in the worst way possible.
Of course, we've got Amelia, thankfully, doing both. Much love for you there. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Soul's like, oh shit, that's right, Soul, because guess who's here? Viceroy Soul Maka is here because he's with us. He knows where his loyalty lies. How about the rest of them guys, huh? Huh?
That's right.
Good point, Soul. We're gonna have to promote Soul now.
I think we're gonna have to. I agree.
Cliffhanger.
Gonna probably be.
Cliff claims everyone's watching. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. There will be a quiz after. There will be a quiz. Why did we
There
roll
will be.
Black Critic IK Tony on this Rant Cafe?
Mm-hmm.
That is the quiz.
Pay attention. That's why you stay here at Rant Cafe. That's why you don't run away. Stay here. This is where the coolness happens.
You stay here, you hear?
Yeah, here you gotta stay.
I appreciate
Bryn,
it.
you say y'all. You say y'all. You say
Y'all.
You act like you just say it as a joke, but you actually say it.
I actually do say y'all. It's become a bad habit. I used to joke about saying y'all. Now it's like a regular part of my conversation.
Yeah, you do. Howdy, y'all.
Howdy.
But yeah, definitely. The Discord is where the fun happens after the streams, but not during the streams, you guys.
OMG.
Can't even believe. Just nope. Not
He
even.
just can't even right now.
Yeah,
So-
by the way, if anyone, do you have any other controversies, either you guys here on the stream with me or anyone in chat regarding anime that you want to discuss, like previous ones in the past? Because there's been quite a few nowadays.
That's a good point. But what else can we talk about here in regards to that? Because I feel like we've exhausted the topic pretty good. I think maybe.
Yeah, I just wrote in the chat. Feels like we're running out of stuff to talk about. Ask some questions.
Oh.
Well, it's, you know why? It's because we're so intelligent that we just solve these issues
Like
very
that.
easily in the hour, right? So
Look at this. Not even
We
an
solve
hour
the world
passed.
problems. Yeah. I mean,
Take that.
yeah. We solve world problems here on Rant Cafe.
Oh.
yeah, Reservoir Warrior, you get it, bro, and that's why I appreciate you. You get how it's supposed to work. But yeah, no, I just think that this whole thing, it's just like an outrage industry, right? So this time anime is being targeted. Last time it was PewDiePie. Next time it could be anything, right? It could be, gaming YouTubers because some of them mention something politically that someone doesn't like. It could be anyone because it's just like the clickbait industry is now gone, as we said, gone into the mainstream media field, and everyone is trying to just shock and outrage as much as possible, and they're just looking for victims. So what do you think is the solution, the proper response to this, guys? If someone is being targeted unfairly, labeled unfairly like PewDiePie was, how should they respond? How should everyone else respond? What do you think about that?
I just think that people have to look at media objectively and not at face value because they could easily be taking things out of context. And when stuff is taken out of context, everyone should respond and like prove it like to be false. And then there should be like a backlash towards the company and they lose their credibility and hopefully discourage them from doing it in the future type of thing. That's the only thing I could really think of. But I feel like false media is never going to not exist just because people only care about clicks. And even if they get a backlash, it's not going to stop people from clicking in the future, really.
Yeah, and I just want to say a guy called Fairy Tale 2017 says that his favorite anime is Code Geass. So, great name choice, bro. Great work. Cyanide. What about you?
Boy, I don't really know how you could handle it other than just stopping it altogether. Because, I mean, obviously PewDiePie is very satire-driven with his works, and you can tell when he's being serious with his responses, and then when he starts to joke around with it, and then of course, media then takes that and they mess around with it, and we see some very very obvious cherry picking in terms of what he said to write an article off of. It's just. It almost is to a point not to be over dramatic, but it's almost like if they're going to crucify you, they're going to do so no matter what you do. So do you break character, sit down and go, well, hey folks, I'm here to tell you today that, I don't endorse these things. They're not cool. Drugs are bad. Stay in school.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Okay.
like, it's very clear PewDiePie isn't some kind of, movement. He's an entertainer, first and foremost. I don't think he would consider himself as anything but that. He's some guy who just acts like a goofball on a camera and shares that with us. And we find it amusing. And, I don't know. It's like power in that case is seemingly given. Like, obviously he's got his amount of control because of his massive subscriber count. But I feel like a lot of these cases, people are given more power than probably what they actually have by the media focusing on that. Like, it's like the whole Girls und Panzer thing. Like, it's not even a recent show. It's been out for several years. It's like, what? It's like, hey, great. I know. Who knows? Maybe the company that's behind it or the company that licensed it, maybe they're going to see an increase in sales as a result of it being plugged. So, but otherwise, it's just it just seems really strange to focus on that. I don't know what you could do to get away from that, because it's one of the things, like, it's like with first impressions. I have in my description that it's satire. I try to act over the top enough to where it's obvious that it's a joke. There's a very clear difference between how I act on there and how I act outside of it. But even then, there's always going to be people that are going to take it literal, take it serious. And I can understand that because of, yet again, it's going to depend on cultural, personal, so on and so forth. But, in the case of like media, especially if you're someone like PewDiePie, I don't know what you could do to avoid that, because it's just, if you don't address it, then they're going to just target something else. Like, well, clearly he's not denying it. So, yeah. And if he denies it, it's like, well,
yeah,
I don't know. Why else would he do this then? So it's like, you can't, you win, you lose. Either way, you're fucked. So just.
Yeah. So Zunlu, I'm guessing is the pronunciation. I'm probably wrong. But he mentioned, or she, in the chat that what about just not giving people incentive to criticize you? But again, that's, I think, impossible, because the whole point of people taking people out of context is that they take something you might have said as a joke and they try to portray that as being your genuine feelings. So then the only solution to that would be, well, I'm not going to joke ever. I'm just going to be very guarded, walking on eggshells, because I'm afraid someone's going to take something I say out of context, which is ridiculous, right? Because that destroys your creativity, your freedom of speech, and so on. I personally think that the only way to react to these kinds of things, these hit pieces and hit jobs, is just to ignore them. Don't apologize. If you haven't done anything wrong, do not apologize, because if you give an inch, they take a mile. They feel victorious then, and then they're out for blood even more. Then don't try to apologize. If you did nothing wrong, keep doing what you believe in. Get support from your community. Ask support from your community, the people that support you, the people that care about you, the people that know who you are, and don't let these don't let these people get to you. Now, obviously, it's hard if it's someone, like PewDiePie does have a good platform, but if it's someone with a smaller platform who is being railroaded by big media or, Twitter wars and stuff like that, it's much more difficult. But yeah, just don't give in, because the more you give in, the more they're going to, it's never going to be good enough. It's never going to be good enough. You can never be as ideologically pure or as perfect as they want you to be. Like, you can never be. So don't try.
You have to be a blank slate, and blank slate is popular because there's no personality. You're basically trying to appeal to everyone, and at the same time, you're not appealing to anyone. Like, that's the thing with like video games. That's something that companies had to realize, is that they try to make a product that's going to appeal to everyone because of how much they're investing in it, and ultimately they get the sales back for it. They're like, why did this thing sell? Well, because it's not appealing to anyone. It's like, if you change a product from what it already was, you're now offending your original core fan base. And if you may be trying to bring on new people on board, but it's just there's not really a whole lot to pull them in there. So it's like, there's always going to be that aspect to it, and sometimes that can be the appeal to it. Like, there's been controversial books, movies, films over the span of history that have been provocative in both in terms of thought as well as in terms of discussion. But at the same time, it's just like, not everything is like the beginning of the end. So,
Anime Fan says that people will judge you no matter what, and that's absolutely true. And like you said, Cyanide, you can put on your videos disclaimers all you want. People are gonna come and comment, "You're a fucking idiot, man. This is a great anime. You're a jerk.
You don't know anything."
Yeah, and,
You're dumb.
even a more basic example is that I am still getting comments on my Seven Deadly Sins video saying, "Yes, Seven Deadly Sins season 2 is on Netflix. You idiot. You liar. I'm watching it right now."
You're like,
literally filler OVA episodes.
yeah, have fun with that.
It's a 3-minute video where I explain everything. No, did they watch for those 3 minutes? Absolutely not. They just clicked so they can say, "You idiot, I'm watching it right now." Meanwhile, it's 4 OVA episodes or TV specials, not even a season 2, not even the first 4 episodes of season 2, nothing to do with season 2. But no, people don't care. Like, people are uninformed. They make, impulsive judgments whether or not to like something or not. Or whether or not to comment, whether or not to tweet or retweet. So you can't expect to be liked by everyone. And Anime Fan also brought up the interesting thing about cosplay, and some people saying that cosplay is cultural appropriation, that you shouldn't be able to cosplay someone of a different race, for example. So what do you guys think about that one?
I personally have always thought it's so silly because, I mean, of course, cosplay is part of like looking the character, but more than that, it's like embodying who the character is, and like you want to like kind of be that character, even just for a short amount of time, and like associate with other people that have that interest with you. It's not like about looking that way. Like if you have like different facial features than a character has, like obviously you can't change that. I just always think it's so silly when people are like, well, you don't have white skin, so you can't, play that character, or you can't cosplay that, and like this and that. Like, you can make it your own. Like, it's about like the fun of like getting dressed and like being around other people that have that same interest as you. It's so much more than that. It's not just like looking that way. Anyways, that's my opinion. It's just silly.
Exactly. So it's cosplay. It's for fun. It's not, you're not like trying to imitate like the character 100%. Like, so who cares? Like, who cares? Like, am I okay emotionally with the fact that Mac wants to ruin Anohana by dressing up as Menma all the time? No. It kills me every day that he does this to this beautiful anime. But he is not a small girl. He is not. But he still does it. And he has a mustache. He has a mustache, damn it. But he has a right to do it, so whatever.
No, that's just it. It's a little ridiculous. Like, that's the whole thing. I always appreciated the creativity that goes into creating a costume and making the character your own. I mean, okay, is there charm when you got someone who can really portray everything almost on a 1:1 scale? Yeah, but I mean, does everyone need to do it? That's absurd. No. It's like that. In fact, I actually like certain cosplays where they get creative with the outfits, or where it's not a complete mimicry, but they'll kind of use a few different things to get creative for simulating the outfit, but it's not actually a complete fully sewn out or created piece. I like that. I think that shows a lot of creativity on the individual, and I think it's a great way to I guess almost give a new depth to the character. That's just it. It's a whole different realm. It's a whole different, I don't want to necessarily say psychology, but there's a whole different thought process that, that's going into it, because yeah, as Bryn said, it's about passion for that character and, wanting to be able to, hey, well, what if I try this? Like, I think that's great. In fact, I actually encourage more people to do it because, yeah, while 1:1 is nice, it's boring. It's not really, it's not spicy. Give me the spice. Give me the sriracha.
You better believe, though,
Yeah.
you better believe that if someone who is white cosplays as a black anime character, they're gonna get assaulted, like attacked all over the place. Just, you better bet. So, in theory you can say it, but in practice they're gonna call it blackface and all this kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, you get that even with like crossplay, like a girl trying to do a dude character, or like a boy, vice versa. Like when they're blatantly, obviously a man and being a woman, like, there's just going to be people that are just going to be weird about it. And it's just like, it's fine. It's about fun. It's about the character. It's not about like looking exactly, but you will have those cosplay snobs. They do exist in the world, how it's like, no, if you do not reach a certain standard, you are unfit to cosplay, which is untrue. Obviously, you can do it however you want.
So stupid.
Yeah.
No, Mac will not. He does not understand the underage Japanese girl experience. Okay, he cannot relate to that. He needs to.
He can't even defend himself here.
He needs to check his privilege and stop ruining Menma for me. Okay.
See, this is what happens, Mac. You could have been here. You could have had a chance to defend yourself. Instead, you chose not to, and now you're getting torn apart.
No, but in all seriousness, yeah, it's ridiculous, and of course, and it works. It should work in every way, guy to girl, girl to guy, or different races and stuff. If you love a character, if you look up to them, why do they have to be your race? Why do they, why isn't that racism? Saying that you should only be able to relate to someone who's your own race, because otherwise you're culturally appropriating. Like that's, again, it's going backwards. It's saying that we should not judge people by the content of their character, but by the color of their skin. And if their color of the skin is different from ours, then we can't possibly understand their experience. So we should not relate to them. We should not look up to them. We should not, cosplay as them, and so forth. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, well, it's absurd, and it's like this. To me, it falls in line in a similar degree of respecting like the personal space of a cosplayer, because it's like, I mean, it's like I've heard so many horror stories of conventions where it's like personal boundaries are crossed, and I don't get how, because at the end of the day, it's a person still. Like, why would you not respect that boundary? You would for a normal person, but it's like once that the outfit's done, it's like sort of this transformation. They're treated differently, as literally like a physical representation of that character, and it becomes so almost twisted in a sense. And I mean, sometimes I don't think it's necessarily done maliciously, but other times, yeah, it's I mean, that just becomes like, I mean, obviously this is a whole nother topic in and of itself, but yeah, it's just like that's sort of the kind of the same association. It's just you have to remember, that's an actual person there. Respect their boundaries, respect them as an individual, respect that, they're doing this, so, be appreciative, be thankful for it. That was the thing. Like when I went to Anime Expo, like when I met someone, I was like, oh, wow, that's really great. Cause someone done a cosplay of, I think it was Sheena from Tales of Symphonia. I was like, wow, you really did a nice job with that. And I was talking with them. Hey, can I take a photo? And I was like, well, thank you so much for your time. Sorry for taking it up. Have a great day. Just same way I would interact with anybody else who would, and that's just it is, that it's all about that respect. And I think sometimes some people either forget it, they either get too passionate or too wrapped up, and it sort of just spirals down.
Yeah, I'm just glad that Kamina is confirmed Serbian. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I would be pretty pissed off, because how could I, look up to him and stuff.
Oh, he is. That's great.
No, yeah, confirmed Serbian. No, absolutely.
Confirmed. Yeah.
He was based on like the Serbian guy.
The stuff and the things.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. Like main female of Gunsmith Cats, Riley Vincent, is half Indian, half American. So yeah, no, I'm all about that. So
yeah, it's interesting. And Revi from Black Lagoon is Chinese American. Right?
Chinese American, yeah.
Living in like Thailand, right? So it's
living like Thailand. So it's like, oh.
Yeah, so exactly, like that's interesting. That's cool. And so why should someone not be able to cosplay as Revi? Like, anyway, the point is, Briggs, you have anything to say on this?
What is the point?
I feel like you haven't spoken in a while, other than freaking out on people in the chat.
I got you guys were talking about nationalities of characters, so I looked up the One Piece crew, and Chopper's Canadian. Woohoo!
Nice.
Nice. Okay, so you can cosplay as him, but no one else.
I'm cosplaying as Luffy. It's happening. Got my hat right there. And then potentially day 2 Kamina.
Nice.
Well, yeah. Let's see if you have the body for it, bro. I know you work out, but.
Oh,
training. Yo, I'm on my Kenichi training regimen. You'll see. There's still time.
Yes. Cool. Looking forward to that, bro. Anyhow, unless you guys want to talk about any further things, we can wrap it up slowly so that I can go. I'm planning on putting on a One Punch Man Season 2 news video tonight, guys, so look out for that. Everything we know so far kind of thing. And
Cool.
also, of course, join the Discord if you want to see me berate all the people who were not at Rant Cafe today. And we're actually going
Give
to have
them a stern warning.
yeah, and we're also going to have a special meeting on Saturday for like the moderators and stuff. So it's going to be one of the topics of discussion. I bet is going to be the Rant Cafe scandal. The Rant Cafe scandal of 2017. But before we go, Cyanide, who are you and what do you do and why do you offend people every day?
You know, what I do is alternate between ASMR videos and getting mauled by Chewbacca, and sometimes, very occasionally, I'll do these bizarre first impression videos that they may amuse you, but they'll probably amuse you instead. But that is what I do. You know, I would actually recommend checking out Bryn's fandom or All the Anime instead. Definitely do that. Subscribe to them. Like, subscribe, follow, retweet.
Definitely check out Cyanide Blizzard as well. Link is in the description. And I love his first impression series. I really do love it. And yeah, well, I'll keep you posted on some of those first impression news in the future. But thank you, Cyanide Blizzard, aka Tablecoon. I feel like everyone on this channel knows you as Tablecoon. It's almost weird to call you Cyanide Blizzard. And it's even weirder to call you Michael. But
Maiku.
that's another story. But Briggs, let's go to you. Who are you and what do you do?
I am Briggs from All Day Anime. Make all the fact videos, all the interesting things you wouldn't already know about characters in series. And tonight, most likely tomorrow, I'll be dropping a video about Escanor from the 7 Deadly Sins.
Hype.
Hype.
Everyone's been wondering about Escanor. Well, good work.
Yeah, I've taken way too long to release it. I've promised it for like the last 3 months. Funny little thing about that, I was sitting at like the kitchen table working on the video, and my brother walks in and sees me with a calculator in my hand, and he's like, "You working on finance? I thought you just wrote your midterm or whatever." And I'm like, "No, I'm calculating a fictional character's power level." I'm not even kidding.
Priorities, you know.
That's awesome. That is kind of like my life too. It's like all the research and stuff that I do for like theory videos and stuff. I totally get it, man. That's awesome.
So yeah, if you want to find out Escanor's power level and how he is the strongest of all the 7 Deadly Sins, come check out that video.
What's stronger than Meliodas and Bon? No way.
Significantly.
Definitely, yeah. I'll be checking that out. I'll be checking that out, and link is in the description again for Briggs from All the Anime. And of course, Bryn from Bryn's Fandoms.
I'm Bryn from Bryn's Fandoms, and I do first impressions, reviews, discussions. Lately, I've been trying to accompany those with like some speed sketches or speed paints, just to like give a little variety, make it a little bit fun and different to watch. But lots of anime stuff on the channel. Something is gonna come out today that I'm not looking forward to, but I promise that I put it up. It's an embarrassing video, so you get. Yeah, after Rant Cafe, because that way I don't get to look at you guys ever for a week. So that's cool, right?
Awesome. So you didn't do like Tony did and try to take our audience away by dropping.
No, I'll wait. I'll just slyly just slide it in that subscription box. So subscribe just to make sure that you get it.
Embarrassing video hype. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And yeah, guys, if you look at behind Bryn, she has artwork that she does. It's very cool. She does like speed drawing while reviewing it, which I think is a very cool concept. Several people from our Discord, because you were the thumbnail for a while for the last Rant Cafe, were talking about how cute you are.
Ooh,
Kawaii.
Now I'm gonna blush. So
yeah, no, that's why I did it. That's why I said it right now. I could have said it after we finished the stream, but I enjoy making people blush.
That's gonna be the thumbnail, her blushing,
Oh, that's
no.
I'll do like an enhance. Like when I do the thumbnail, I'll like enhance it.
No.
Like glowing.
Don't do it.
No, I won't do it, but yes. Thank you, cute Bryn, for that, for Kawaii Bryn, for that outro, I guess we could call it. And yeah, thanks everyone again for joining us for another Rant Cafe. We'll just keep going. As Anbu says, quoting Anbu, best podcast of all time. And I have to agree, but it's not me who said it. It's Ambu, so it's not egotistical. And yeah, thanks again, guys. Thanks everyone in the chat. Love chatting with you. Thanks you to my guests who were here. Not thank you to either Mac or Tony. And until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.
Bang!